Message from Oliver Stanton. Received 03/04/2000 and...
Hi, John. It's me. Your boy. Sorry, that's a weird way to start a phone call about a complaint, isn't it? Yeah. Sorry. So the Bourbon Dreams have been released, and obviously they're selling really well. Everybody's reporting back exactly what the pilot testers experienced. You know, lucid dreams mixed with restful sleep. The whole kit and caboodle. But okay, so it's not exactly everyone. I mean, obviously, hence why I'm calling. So don't be alarmed. We've had a complaint. Just one complaint, mind. So there's no need to start getting into panic stations. Yeah. So our complainant, he's from Brighton, 35, accountant, very normal sort. You know, never gone into the dark woods or made deals with unsavory characters. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he's probably not, as you sometimes put it, cursed. Before you immediately send me in that direction. I know you love curses, you old curse lover. Sorry, was that... I'm not sure if that's offensive, actually. Am I being offensive there? Anyway, he's told me that he's not been getting the same results as our other customers in a couple of ways. He said he had a friend that tried it, and it was apparently, and I quote, proper lovely. So he decides to give it a shot, and yeah, so you know how you're meant to just immediately know you're in a dream and go from there? I mean, you know that. It's on the ad. You know, have a bite. Let your imagination take flight. You know, you're in the dream. You're like, oh yeah, this is a dream. And you start creating your own world. You control the reality in your mind, that sort of thing. Well, when he says that when he first tried it, it just felt like any other dream. In fact, he didn't even realize it was a dream at first. That sort of thing. It was just a bit boring. Just him waking up and going to work like any other day. So when he woke up, he was obviously a bit confused. He thought he'd done something wrong, so next time he tried, he kept telling himself that he was going to have a lucid dream before he fell asleep. He just kept saying that to himself over and over. Apparently, he'd watched a YouTube tutorial about it that day. And, well, he just dreamt that he was himself again in his house, waking up from bed, another normal day. But this time, he remembered that he was dreaming, and he started to move about, and sure enough, he could voluntarily just explore the place, be aware of himself. You know, so far so good. But when he decides, alright, you know what, this is a dream, and in a dream, I'd like to try and fly. This would be fun. So he goes outside, into his street, or the street that is his street in his dream, and he tries to leap up in the air and then take off soaring, you know? Except he doesn't. He just jumps upward and trips over. It's weird, though, because it's especially struck me as odd, John, because, okay, when you're in a dream, it feels so normal, doesn't it, right? The people in your dream don't behave like real people. They just nod and go along with the logic of what's happening. They behave in a way that makes sense to you, you know? So you'd expect them all to behave the same way. But apparently it felt so real. Like it was this genuinely embarrassing moment he'd had, and they were all genuinely baffled, all these people in the street. Like, and it's not just this, my trousers fell down in class and everyone's laughing at me. No, it's loads of different reactions, and it's not all just like giggling at his expense. Some did, but some just kept on moving like they pretending it didn't even happen. Some were baffled. His neighbor was like, you know, its dream version of his neighbor actually came out to get him on his feet, you know, was sympathetic in that. Ask him if he was alright, that sort of thing. And he just kept telling me about how normal it was. How it was just a normal day. And his neighbors were acting like themselves, and nothing was weird at all. And it keeps happening. He's tried it every night for the last couple of weeks now, and it's always the same. Just a normal day. And he's not mad about it, mind. I mean, not really. He's a bit miffed, because, you know, he wants to have a fun dream, as advertised. It's less of a complaint and more of a... I think he just wants to know if he's doing something wrong. So I'm checking in with you to see if you would know what I can do to help him. So if you can check up with the lab boys, or lab women, or lab people, or, you know, just any bit of advice from lab folk would be great. Alright, that's all. No spontaneous combustion or a horrible death this time, which is great. Not that I expect that sort of thing. Anyway, yeah. Alright. Talk soon. Let me know what you'd suggest. Cheers.
Follow-up message. Received 0404 2000 and...
Hi, John. Sorry for the second voicemail in a day. I know you probably already heard the last one, and we're just starting to look for some solutions. But our complainant called me again this morning, and it seems to be taking a bit of an odd turn. Not bad. It seems fine. Definitely a bit weird. So, remember how I was telling you that our complainant was just having just the odd boring dream? Well, that's still true. And he had a nightmare. I guess that's what you'd call it. And it seems to have shook him a bit. And that's weird because we're not supposed to have nightmares with this stuff. That's like on the... Anyway. He swears up and down that something odd happened, and he needed to tell me. He woke up this morning and he just needed to get off his chest. And I'm not really sure what to think about it. As I say, it sounds like a nightmare, but I thought I'd just better bring it to you just in case. So last week, he says he had a dream, and he decided if he's going to be in a dream in his own home, he might as well have a nice time. So he plays some video games, he orders a takeaway, that sort of thing. And he tells me it feels so real. And I mean, obviously it does. I mean, he's eaten a lucid dream biscuit, for Christ's sakes. That's natural. But then, something happens. It's the dream version of the afternoon. And out of the corner of his eye, in the window, he watches as his neighbor, the one I told you about yesterday, who helped him up off the street in the other dream, starts to cross the road. And bam, a car smacks into him. He blinks for a minute, decides he's going to go outside, and sure enough, there's the body in the road. And he starts to feel sick because, again, it's very real. And before he knows it, he's actually awake and he's thrown up all over his covers. Now, he didn't tell me this when we'd first spoken. Obviously I'd have mentioned it because, as I say, he would have assumed that it was a nightmare, and, well, that's not meant to happen. As it stands, you're meant to be in complete control. I mean, God knows what would happen if we just gave these people very vivid, lucid dreams, and sometimes, like, their worst nightmare came out and ripped their face off in their minds. That would be bad. That's still not the weird part, though, actually. It's weird, but... Yesterday, he says, after his consultation with me, he says he's walking home, and by the time that he arrives back at his house, there's this ambulance and a bunch of policemen in front of his house, and he goes up to ask the people what's happened, and he's told to step back because there's been an accident. And sure enough, it's his neighbor who's been involved. It's a car crash at a horrific speed, just like this dream he had a week ago. And he tells me, since then, he's been noticing other things, like weather patterns, and headlines in newspapers have been repeating. He told me that he remembered watching an episode of some fantasy series that hadn't aired yet in real life. And sure enough, everything that he saw came to pass. He went to check online today, and apparently everything he'd seen about this, whatever it was he was watching, it was real. He's understandably a bit confuzzled. So, yeah, a bit more concerning now. Obviously, it's still a lot to process. I mean, I don't think our boy is seeing the future. Could you imagine? But yeah, could you call me back when you can and let me know if this is in the list of side effects? It's just a bit odd. Thanks.
Follow-up message. Received 0504 2000 and...
Hi, John. Been a while since I've heard your voice, but I am... God, pardon me. Oh my... That was... Sorry. I just want to let you know, I appreciated the little note you left me, or your assistant left me. I must admit I'm a bit confused. I mean, I was talking about a man who is having a strange couple of lucid dreams, and the next day you're instructing me to call an elderly care facility? That wasn't exactly on my list of things I expected to do today, so I called the number for Oracle Hill, and I'll say, Pretty punctual response. Very punctual. You know, like as soon as I dialed the number, they pick up, kind of punctual. And she was nice, the woman on the other end. A bit presumptuous. I started to say, I'm calling on behalf of Tim Macrichties, and she stopped me by saying, "Yes, we've been expecting your call. Can you give us the name and location of your complainant?" And again, I'm just a bit confused because I'm not sure what a chartered accountant has to do with elder care, or what his weird dreams has to do with them, but I gave them the number anyway, as you suggested, and they said thanks, and off they hopped. And immediately afterwards, I get another call from our guy, and it's as soon as the call's done, he calls, and he sounds okay. He's not frightened anymore, at least, and he just says, "I woke up this morning, and it all made sense. Don't worry, mate. I know what I'm getting up to next. I'll expect their phone call soon." And he hangs up. So does that mean he wants me to call him back, do you think? I don't know, he sounds like he feels pretty content. I mean, I don't feel like I've resolved anything. I don't see how me calling some old folks' home solves his problem. It just... do you think? Is he expecting a call from them? Could you let me know if you think this is handled? I mean, it feels handled, but I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, this is Oliver, by the way, from obviously from Complaints. Oh, Jeff, I'm just thinking, hope our lad doesn't see any car crashes of me anytime soon. God, I need to not say that sort of thing. I'm giving myself the willies. Right, okay. Thank you, John. Cheers.